So guys, today we have with us actors and entrepreneurs Darren Downborough and Richard Cambridge, who are here to talk about hi, who are here to talk with us about their new casting app for vertical dramas, VertiCast, right?
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so first let me ask you what inspired you to create VertiCast?
We have been running together a business for over 10 years called Reaudition. And on that, we have lots of actors that are auditioning every day, rehearsing with each other and reading lines with each other. And as part of that, we get a feel for and we see what's going on. And about a year ago, we started to see loads of acting, loads of auditions, and loads of things being made in the vertical drama space. So vertical dramas on all of the apps that we're seeing. So we thought um, we need to help in this space. We need to provide more opportunity for these actors because that's what we're all about with We Audition. And so we were about a year thinking about how we could add value and how we could help our actors in that space. And at the beginning of this year, we came up with a concept that we thought would work, which is a casting platform that works slightly differently to how the casting works, because people were casting these microdramas on Instagram. They were casting them on their phones. They were casting them fast. So we thought this whole submission process that actors are used to wasn't good enough. So we decided to come up with an idea to do it better.
Uh, why do you think vertical dramas have grown so much in recent times?
I think it's just a reflection of how people are consuming content. Everybody's on their phones so much, and it just makes sense that if you're going to capture their attention, that's one of the reasons. And it's been quoted by the big players in the space that that is the reason they started really taking off in China. Where if you speak to the guy that owns Real Short, he explains it in this way: everyone in China has a smartphone. Not everybody has access to a TV, and people work long hours, and they're not watching TV at work, but they do have their smartphone on the tube, on the subway, in the bus. You've got your smartphone at all times. The other thing about smartphone viewing is highly personal, and so I can be watching something on the sofa, and my partner can be watching something different, and my friend can be watching something different, and so you can consume the content that you like. The reason they took off, though, I believe, is because the model closely models the gaming platforms, which is the idea of giving you a little bit of content for free, getting you engaged, and then hooking you in to pay more. So it's a freemium model in software.
Uh, okay, then from your experience, what do you think the difference is between the casting for vertical dramas and Hollywood productions?
It's speed really and necessity. So big Hollywood productions, or not just Hollywood, but Hollywood style productions around the world. The filmmakers are ultimately auteurs and creatives that have a story that they work on for sometimes years, and they bring it to life. They get the financing, and then they want to find the very best actors out there to portray the characters they've written and conceived. So the search is far and wide, and it's finding those nuances. Vertical dramas, on the other sense, they're written based upon certain story structures. They're written on audience data. So what you need for the acting is somebody that looks and sounds and feels like the character of the story you're trying to pursue. Do they need to be the best actor in the world? No, it doesn't mean they're bad actors. There's lots of great actors. And that's why one of the things I think the vertical has exploded and been good for actors is many actors that are actually very, very capable were not getting opportunities, and now they have. But it's the speed, because these are being made in response to market data and trends, they simply don't have the runway of time that a big auteur would have to like scour the world far and wide, and they don't have the budget to do that. So they look at story types, character types, find an actor that has the experience in the industry that they need, with the look that they need, with the ability they need, and they cast them. And so that's really sort of the three areas. So it stands to reason that if you're doing it on an app like Verticast, you are looking at somebody's resume and their pictures. Do they look like the character you need? Yes. Can they actually look at their reel? Yes. Are they available? Which is a big part of this, because they're produced so quickly that If you're not available, they literally move to the next person. And so that's the things you have to look at, and then DM them to book them through themselves or their agent. And that's the bit that Richard was explaining earlier, is these things were being cast on Instagram for the same reason. You're looking out for somebody who looks like the character you need, seeing they're acting on Instagram and just DMing them. It's a sort of simplistic process. And I think the traditional casting models are just way too convoluted.
So, is the platform aimed at actors from union, non-union, or both?
Everyone, yeah.
Everyone, there's a lot of non-union work in verticals, but there was also SAG-AFTRA contracts for verticals as well. So it could be anyone. A lot of them that are being cast are non-union. And talking just briefly as well about the way that they're made, a lot of them are non-union, and that means sometimes they're very long days as well. Producers like to cast people that know they know what they're gonna get. They want to cast actors who know that they're gonna have to work 12-hour days. They know they're gonna be doing 10 to 15 pages a day. That's not an expectation on a big movie, on a TV series. Some, but very
one
rarely.
page a day on a big movie.
Yeah, and that means an expectation of knowing your lines, turning up on time, probably bringing yourself to set. And those things are expected in the vertical drama. So having someone that's been in that world before is really a prerequisite of needing an actor.
Yeah, it's about having industry knowledge, isn't it? And that makes the whole production smoother. Whereas if you are going to your vertical set expecting to have your own Winnebago and a green, you're going to be displeasantly
Quite
surprised.
disappointed.
Yeah.
It's a different way of working. It is different. And I think people who have worked in them a few times, they get it. So they're a good hire because they're going to be turning up on time, knowing their lines, knowing that they're going to get 1 or 2 takes and moving on.
Mm.
So they'll be better prepped.
Okay.
It's more collaborative.
So,
I think so, yeah.
what actors should keep in mind while creating their VertiCast profile?
Well, I mean, it's in the name, really. It should be your vertical profile. So your headshots are always portrait anyway, but look at the ones that represent the characters you play. So again, we mentioned vertical is very on the nose. So what type of character do you play? Make sure your headshots look like that. Whereas in traditional acting, I think you try and go for a more generic headshot so that you can be seen in a variety of lights. Second thing is have a vertical reel. Our app only allows you to upload a 916 reel. And so with that in mind, you either have to have worked in vertical or you need to go and shoot something that is vertical. The other thing is it's a vertical only resume. Yes, people care that you've done lots of TV work or you've got great training, but what our app cares about and the people using our app is what are your vertical credits? Which platforms have you worked for? Which are the hit shows you on? And then the last thing is availability. We have a 2-week availability system on there. It's done in 2 weeks so that people aren't putting their availability too far ahead and forgetting about it. You're encouraged to log into the app every day and update it, because then if a casting or a producer needs somebody quickly, they can go and search by availability and know that you're likely to still be available because you went on this morning and said you were.
So, what kind of feedbacks have you gotten from casting directors and producers since launching the app?
Been very good in general. It's been nice. I think what we're doing is we're having a stage where people are looking through the app and they're finding people and making lists. So when a producer or casting is on there, they can swipe left or right to go through. They put in their search criteria, and it might be geographical, or it might be type, or whatever they want, age, and then or gender. Then they would make their list. So we're seeing lots of people make lists, and then from those lists, they're making their DMs or contacts. They might be off the platform, on the platform, but we're seeing lots of lists being made, which is excellent.
And speaking to casting, we created this, remember, from being very adjacent to the industry for a couple of years. We've helped put projects together. Rich has produced a couple of projects. He's been in a couple of projects. I've been around the world, including as far as Shenzhen in China, speaking about microdrama, meeting casting, meeting producers. So we didn't just come up with this idea out of thin air. We came up with this idea based upon what the world of casting and producers was telling us about how they're doing things and what they needed.
We've also had feedback from agents as well. So we've built something in for agents because one of the big agencies was asking, how do I get these messages if my actor's on set and they're expected to reply but they're working? How can we communicate? Because that's my job as an actor. So as an agent, sorry. So we built in the ability for you to add your agent and have them have access to your DMs as well. So the idea behind that is if you're working every day, your agent can respond to say, yes, I'm available tomorrow. So you can get booked tomorrow whilst you're on set today. That's the plan with that.
But the simple way to look at it is no different to casting on Instagram,
It's the same.
but without the noise. It's specifically for the vertical industry.
I was going to ask you that next, what unique value does VertiCast provide to the vertical drama industry? But you've kind of answered that already.
It's
So let's
yeah.
move
The
on.
unique thing is on your phone, and it's for verticals. And I don't know anything out there that is a casting app on your phone for verticals.
Yes. So, what excites you most about the vertical drama industry right now?
Speed, I think, for me. I think the ability, things are changing really fast, and this is mass adoption for mobile vertical storytelling. So to be part of that on the ground level, which it still is, I mean, we're a couple of years in, but we're seeing a real big change from the big screen on your living room wall onto personal devices. And we're seeing that with the tech as well. When we're seeing this week actually a lot of folding phones come out from Samsung and some other providers as well. Apple are expected to do one as well. So we're seeing the real adoption of a device in your hand as something that is acceptable to consume media on. Whereas before it was always like, I don't want to do that, and I'll do my big transaction on my laptop or on my computer at home, or I'll watch my movie on the screen at home. It's now becoming much more acceptable to consume your media on your phone, even at home if there was a TV in front of you. We're also seeing two, three screen devices. So people that might have something on the TV, they might have something on their phone, they might be watching both at the same time. That's something that's only come about in recent years.
You know what excites me about the microdrama industry actually is branded entertainment on microdramas. Because if you think about how commercials started out, commercials, to sell products were in between shows. And at the start, I'm sure it was probably interesting. And then it became a disruption and an interruption. And then I remember growing up in the 80s when I started acting, the commercials were like mini stories and they were serialized. There was a famous commercial when I was growing up called Nescafe Gold Blend for coffee, and it followed a couple in their romance. There was another one about the man in black for Milk Tray, Cadbury's Milk Tray, and you followed his story, and he was like a James Bond type character that left chocolates in.
Humans follow stories.
Yeah.
They love stories. We love
Exactly.
stories.
And so, like with branded entertainment, the thing I think is exciting about it is it offers opportunities for actors to get back into commercial work, which is where the money is, unfortunately, but with a storyline and with acting at its core, instead of what commercials became, which is us talking straight to camera saying, buy this insurance or buy that, which is not great for actors.
It's not great for actors. And what influencers and sort of social media has become is a lot of little clips that engage people very nicely, but there's no real throughput in them. So what the big platforms, Instagram and TikTok, are actually doing at the moment is providing a way for people and influencers and content creators to add stories, series, linear storylines that can take a episodic place. So we're seeing that evolving now, like literally in the next few months.
Yeah, that feature's coming out on Instagram.
Yeah,
so that
absolutely.
You don't cut. You think about the algorithm now; it bounces you around in your own echo chamber. You watch one video and it shows you another one that it thinks you might like. But what it really should show you is the next part of that series that you're interested in. And so content creators can do that. But then if you look at what's happening in the branded entertainment space, like Crocs just did a partnership with Real Short, and they have a story. Procter and Gamble are doing their own ones. Even some of the big fashion houses, the LVMHs of the world, are going into branded microdramas. So that then is when the content starts becoming, higher quality, different, interesting. Because again, I'm going to say it like out loud: the brands can afford to take chances. They can afford to take risks. A lot of actors see brands as being like the enemy of content because of commercials, and they think it's cheesy or whatever. But actually, those brands, they have the budgets that can afford to experiment. So we should be embracing that.
I want to say also that collaboration is something we're going to see more of. So the opportunities for content creation has never been bigger. And for actors, when traditionally, let's say you're hired for a theatre play and then maybe for a film and maybe for a TV, what we're seeing now is the start of something where people can collaborate and they can go to brands and they can have brands hire them to make content. So what we're doing with VertiCast is we're allowing people also to communicate amongst themselves and create ways that they can collaborate and make content, maybe episodic content, maybe short form narrative, linear storylines that they can create together. So we're hoping to develop and give opportunity to a complete community of people that can create their own stuff, work on stuff, sell it to brands, have brands communicate with them, and oh, I need someone to help me with this short or this little idea, and they can go on and find other people and work with them. So we're hoping that that really is an infrastructure that Verticast can support and give opportunity.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of how that can work. If you're a brand that thinks a microdrama series could work for you and you have a little bit of budget, you can go onto Verticast, sign up as a producer. You could DM one of the talent, and then you could say, "Hey, I'm interested in you creating a story for me for my brand. Here's the budget," and then that Verticast member can go to other actors that they know in the Verticast sphere, and they can DM them and say, "Hey, how about doing this thing with me? We only need 4 or 5 people to make this story work." And Verticast then becomes a silo. Of course, you can go to your friends or wherever. You can scour the world on Instagram or whatever. But you know that the people in Verticast, you're looking at their reels. You know them from the industry, and so it's just a place. It's a collaborative place for people to get together and make stuff happen.
Yeah.
For my last question, I would like to ask, do you think Hollywood is underestimating microdramas? And do you, how soon do you see microdramas going mainstream?
Already gone mainstream, haven't they?
I think they have. We've just seen Netflix in the last couple of weeks release a vertical ability, a vertical version of their app for
It's
vertical content. We're seeing massive
Netflix
amounts
of
of
their shows.
recutting. Yes, we're seeing massive amounts of recutting of other formats of linear landscape formats into the vertical. But we're also, it's a slightly different way of structuring things. So we're seeing stuff made especially for the format with a hook and a cliffhanger, and that engages the audience and makes them want to watch more. And it works with an episodic, so you can watch one on the bus, and then you can watch one when you get home, and then you can watch one in the bathroom, which is where a lot of them are being consumed. We're seeing a massive change. So I think we are within that time now, and I'm seeing in my mind, I'm seeing going to see lots more content creation and content creators really coming to the fore rather than big studios.
You know, there's a difference between what the public think Hollywood has adopted and what Hollywood has adopted, because when you're on the ground here in LA and you're reading the trades, I had a friend the other day say to me, "Oh, I don't think Hollywood is, will like this." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Every major studio has either invested in verticals like Fox and Holy Water, they're creating their own silos like Netflix is. The figures are showing, there were more minutes spent on, I think, Real Short per day per user than there was on Netflix per day per user. And so you can't ignore those things. There was a report that came out today that the vertical industry outside of China is worth $150 billion. Um, that the fact that Hollywood trades are reporting on it every day, Hollywood is already on top of it. And you've got big talent like Issa Rae, you've got Tay Diggs just started an app, you've got Nate Parker with Mansa, you have all these top talents, Gamma Time, Bill Block, Hollywood names have started apps. And so maybe the public are going to catch up with that, but it's already happening.
Thank you for having this interview with us. Uh, I hope that Verticast does great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We love cinema, Ben. Thank you so much for having us.
Okay. Bye. And
Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Good to meet you. Thank you,
Are
Lakita.
we going to